Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today we're going to make a 5XL double incline ice dye. You want to start out by centering your shirt using the sleeve inside the other sleeve technique, and what that means is you're just bringing the front of the shirt and the back of the shirt next to each other so you get a more symmetrical final look. For the sake of the video, I had to edit a lot of this out. This is a 5XL shirt, and it took me quite a bit of time to get all the seams to line up and get it smooth. It's really important that you take your time with this step because this is the foundation for your tie-dye. You want everything to be as symmetrical as possible so that your end results match. Using a piece of kite string and a washable marker, mark out your pattern. Pleat fold along this line, making it as straight as possible. You'll watch me twist the shirt in front of me. That makes it a lot easier to make that line nice and straight. Now it's time to secure your shirt, and for this particular project I'm choosing to use kite string. I don't feel like I have enough large rubber bands to secure the shirt. That's why I chose the kite string over rubber bands, because you guys know how much I love to do rubber bands. And also with ice dyes, you really do want the dye to be able to flow through the pleats, so they don't need to be tied very tightly. As you work your way down to the tip, do your best to try to make the pleats all about the same height. And then when you get down to the tip, you can just sort of pinch it. And you want to work the kite string back towards the center of the shirt where you started from. now that you've made it back to the starting point, it's time to work on the rest of the shirt. Try not to introduce any new pleats in at this point because you're going to get a better arc pattern. There's going to become a point where there's just so much fabric that the pleats will become too tall. That's when you can go ahead and break them down and add secondary pleats to the pattern. And then just continue to work with the kite string securing the shirt. Sorry that my head is in the way and I bumped the camera so there's a lot of wobble right there. I do apologize for that. Keep on working your way down. We're almost there, you guys. We're almost done and get to go on to the fun part where we get to add some dye. All right, we finally made it. Woohoo! So now take the kite string, work your way back up to the center where you started, and just secure it with a simple double knot. The next step in the process is to create some type of barrier to keep the dye and ice around the shirt. Normally I like to use the gutter for my Incline ice dyes, but this shirt is too wide, so I'm deciding to go with foil. I get the foil at Costco and I have a link for it down in the description box. Using a washable marker, I mark out my dye pattern. Now it's time for the fun part. We get to add the dye. Using a disposable spoon, or whatever spoon you prefer to use, dip it into the pot of dye and sprinkle it directly onto the shirt. This is a dye under ice technique. You have a lot more control with the dye doing it this way. Once you get the dye on, take the back of the spoon and smooth the dye out onto the shirt. That way when you add the ice and the ice wants to roll down the incline, I feel like it just helps the dye stick to the shirt better. And I'm also going very heavy with the dye because I want as much of the dye to be able to soak through. I don't want to have to come back and add more dye to the back of the shirt if I don't have to. So I'm leaving white space in between the colors. The reason for that is because fire red and raven black are both very powerful colors, and I put quite a bit of the fire red on. I don't want the shirt to just be one muddy mess of black and the red. I'm hoping that I can achieve more of the secondary colors by leaving some of that white space. Now give the shirt a quick little sprinkle of soda ash for good measure. So here comes the comedy of tie-dye. And for those of you that have been doing this for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I didn't have a rack that was big enough for this shirt, so I had to zip tie two together. And as I'm adding the ice, it's beginning to collapse underneath the weight of it all. Also, the foil walls aren't strong enough to hold up all the ice. So I quickly grab some clothespins to help hold that up. And then I go back to adding more ice, and as I'm doing that, it's collapsing, the ice is rolling down, it's becoming into like a disaster. And then the more I try to fix it, the worse it's becoming. So I realize enough is enough, just let it be. After several hours and the ice is all melted, I've come back and I'm checking the shirt, and there's clearly not enough saturation on the back. So I flip it over and repeat the process. After all the ice melts, that's when you're going to start the clock for your 24-hour batch time. The shirt needs to batch for a minimum of 24 hours. This particular shirt batched for closer to 48 hours. My apologies. This is all I have of the rinse out process, but it's the same as every shirt in all of my videos. Start with cold water, increase to hot, put it in the washing machine, dry it, and then we come back for our results. Well, here it is, guys. Here's our shirt after it's been washed and dried, and I think the shirt turned out awesome. We've got great symmetry, and that's because I took a lot of time centering the shirt. That really is such an important step. Also, by leaving that white space, we have a lot of those secondary colors. Not only do I see the fire red and the raven black, but I see grays, blues, pinks, purples. This shirt just really pops. What do you guys think? Go ahead and leave me some comments down below. I know this tutorial is so much longer than usual. When working with a 5XL, everything just takes longer. It takes so much longer to fold, more dye, more everything. So I really want to tell you thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave a thumbs up, and click the bell for future notifications. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing.